Welcome to week one, day two of the PCL playoffs. I am your host, Ron, and you are here at Player's Choice for the PCL. And we got a lot at stake today, y'all. We are in the round of 16, and the winner of all these highly touted matchups gets to move on to the next round and gets a shot at winning the PC Belt along with a nice cash prize. Today, we have four great matchups, starting with Swipe and ZZ, then Dion from Ohio versus MTL, then Elder Rufus versus John D, and last but not least, Big Ox versus Gifted. And so we're going to go ahead and get into it, y'all. You guys know the drill. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and get ready for a nice, long, and entertaining route to the Final Four here on the PCL. I'm going to go ahead and bring these guys up, and we're going to go ahead and get into it. We got two heavyweights, Swiping versus ZZ, and we got three very good topics to get into today. So let's go ahead and do that. ZZ, what's going on, my brother?
What is good? What's good, chat? How we living?
ZZ, any worries today?
Any worries?
Yeah. Is there any topics that you like? I don't know.
I mean, the first one could go either way. I mean, I'm a fan of the other guy, so it'll be tough. But
You're a fan of Swiper?
I'm a fan of Steph Curry, and I'm also a fan of Swiper.
Okay. I was about to say,
I'm a fan. I ain't got no issue with nobody. Shit.
Okay.
But
it's just certain people I'm not fans of that I don't got issues with.
I mean, I feel that, but
okay.
It's time. We chilling. Everybody good.
Right. No doubt. Swiper, what's good? Are you a fan of ZZ?
I'm good with everybody, bro. I ain't got no beef with nobody. So I hope he does the best of his ability today. Same with you, Ron.
Same with you, Ron.
This is the Swiper I like. This is the humble. I'm gonna take the Jokic approach. I'm not gonna celebrate. I'm not going. Okay, I'm a humble guy. I like this Swiper. All right, y'all. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. We have 3 rounds and we got 3 good topics. Let's do it. We just gonna keep time on the back end. There it is. All right, cool. So, all right, Swiper, you gonna go first. Your time is gonna start on you. The first topic that we got is the greatest offensive weapon ever. So, Swiper, I'm gonna let you introduce your topic, or I'm gonna let you introduce what side you got. It's Steph Curry's 3-point shot versus Kareem hook shot. Swiper, you got it whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so there is no shot that's been more important in NBA history than Steph Curry's 3-point shot, or even basketball history. And a lot of people just give you a timeline. You remember in 2008 when Davidson went on that run through the NCAA tournament, he made 23 3-pointers over the course of that stretch, averaging 32 points a game. Remember, they took down Gonzaga, took down Georgetown, took down Wisconsin, then lost to Kansas. But a lot of what Steph Curry's lore is that he revolutionized this 3-point shot in ways we just hadn't seen before. Now, because of the way he got the shot up, it's not just simply the volume that people got really starstruck on. It's the fact that he somehow was able to combine off-ball movement shooting, someone like Rip Hamilton, who excelled at it in the mid-2000s, but he's able to combine that with an extended range and doing it off of dribble pull-ups, doing it off of hesitation, doing it off of DHOs. We had not seen a player be able to translate a shooting skill to that degree, and to where Steph Curry walks into the NBA after Davidson and the 3-point boom happens right after that. And then after the 2012-2013 season, the league averages for 3-pointers for 21 points a game, 22 a game, 24 a game, and then 27 to all the way till you get to 2023-24, where the average league attempts in 3-pointers are 35 a game. And that starts with Steph Curry and the fact that he has the most dominant, unstoppable shot we've ever seen in NBA history.
All right, there you have it. ZZ, it's your turn to go.
So for me, off rip, I had to go Kareem, because when thinking about the question, it's saying the greatest offensive weapon ever. And to be considered to have a great offensive weapon, that means that your signature shot has got to be elite in some way, shape, or form. And when you look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or at least the origins of the sky hook or the hook shot alone, it dates back to the 1930s, 40s, and 50s with guys like Cliff Hagan, guys like George Mikan, who is considered the OG of the hook shot. And what Kareem essentially did with the hook shot was he may not have revolutionized the game in terms of everybody doing a hook shot like Kareem, but he revolutionized the game individually for himself. When you look at what he did in high school with his 4 straight high school state championships, along with what he did at UCLA, going to win on 3 NCAA titles, along with 2 National Player of the Years. And when you look at the fact that the NCAA outlawed dunking from 1967 to 1976, and it fell in a time in which Kareem was winning those NCAA titles, you got to think, they literally outlawed something for Kareem, who was 7'2" at the time, about 225, the biggest guy in the league with the biggest wingspan. They took away dunking. So what does he have to do? The hook shot, the one shot that he could go to. And throughout his college years, he was able to polish and continue to refine to the point where when he got to the NBA and he was allowed to dunk, he really didn't need to, because everybody knew he could get to his one signature shot, which was the sky hook that no one else could stop, block outside of Wilt Chamberlain twice in a 20-year span of an NBA career. So it's got to be Kareem if we're talking greatest weapon.
Ooh, I like that first round. Okay. Round 2, Swiper. Take us away.
Yeah, the question is the greatest offensive weapon ever, not the most unstoppable shot ever. The greatest offensive weapon ever is the three-point shot. And you can even just go back to this year. The Boston Celtics owe Steph Curry's three-point shot, the boom of the three-point shot, as to why they won their first NBA championship since 2008. They led the NBA in three-point attempts and led the NBA in three-point percentage. And Steph Curry revolutionized the game, not just once, but twice. And what do I mean by that? Because remember, small ball became what it was because of Steph Curry, Draymond, Clay, Wiggins later on in 22, Harrison Barnes at the time, Kevin Durant. But what they taught the NBA was you need to have a connecting 5 at that time who's able to pass between multiple floor spacers, and you had an elite off-ball movement shooter that could literally take all of the gravity to one side of the court to leave Clay and others wide open on backside on the other side. And then on the other point of this, there's a new era, a new iteration of the three-point shot. You get to big skill positions having elite three-point shots, because now with the Boston Celtics having large, tall athletes that can shoot, the Denver Nuggets having a center that can shoot, and having multiple players that can spread the ball around. And then you get even to the Milwaukee Bucks with Brook Lopez. Their three-point shot revolutionized the game, not just for small players, but it got big players paid. Because if you're a big center or a big 4 and you can provide a three-point shot, you have more value now in the NBA than you ever have had previously.
All right, it's on you, ZZ. Let's hear it.
So for me, once again, going back to the question, we're talking about greatest offensive weapon ever. And for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and what he was able to generate for himself with his offensive weapon, that holds a little bit more weight to me, because when you consider the fact that he played a 20-year NBA career and he won 2 finals MVPs 14 years apart from each other, one of which he became the oldest player in NBA history to win finals MVP at the age of 37. And then when you look at the fact that for his NBA career, what his offensive weapon he was able to fall back on later on in his career, and was his go-to move in earlier parts of his career when he had the athleticism and things of that nature. He was able to put together 6 MVPs, 6 titles, like I said, 2 finals MVPs, ran away with Rookie of the Year, turning that Milwaukee Bucks team around, 29 wins from the previous year, and had a career shooting average from the field of 55.9%. So having that move in his arsenal for 20 years allowed him to not only be efficient and effective, but to be able to reap the benefits of that by rallying in every single accolade that you can think of when it comes from scoring titles to MVPs to championships for 2 different organizations. Now, obviously, when you look at all of that and you wrap it all up, you have to look at the specific fact that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar walked into the NBA already having this polished shot and was able to fall back on it because there was no one else in the league that could hit a hook shot quite like Kareem, with the actual pinpoint accuracy of how high his shot was, matched with his right leg going up and off of his pivot foot. It was meticulous, and it was only unique to him.
All right, we got both guys spitting for the first 2 rounds. Round 3. This will determine who probably wins the round. Go ahead, Swiper.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, really respect to Kareem for that. But you're saying the most dangerous shot between the three-point shot for Steph or the hook shot for Kareem. Steph Curry has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of double-digit three-point attempts. And in those years in 2020-21, 12.7 3-point attempts a game, 42% from three, 11.8, 41%, 11.7, 44%, 11.7, 38%, 11.4, 43%. And so basically, because of Steph Curry, when he's shooting the ball, when he puts a 3-point shot up, he's basically giving you 1.12 points per possession, damn near, when he puts a 3-point shot up in the air. There's just nothing mathematically to replicate that level of volume with that level of accuracy, because what happens is you're simply focusing on whether or not he gets to the paint and makes the shot. I'm talking about the fact that because Steph Curry's three-pointer is so potent, the entire defense is now guarding Steph Curry at the half-court line because they do not want him to get an open three-pointer once he crosses the half-court line because of what it does to the rest of the defense. And by nature of Steph Curry's three-point shot being as dangerous, the most dangerous shot in NBA history as it is, it literally affects everybody else on the court, including giving you higher value attempts at the rim or in the painted restricted area as a whole for your team. So literally, double-digit attempts on all-time great efficiency. There's no other shot like it in NBA history.
ZZ, round 3. How you gonna combat that?
So I know you talked about I understand the gravity in which Steph, or the attention that Steph draws from defenses, but let's not act like Kareem was not drawing equal levels of eyeballs towards him for players that were guarding perimeter players on his early years in Milwaukee. You can go back and watch the tape. There were players that literally would just leave their man wide open on the perimeter to ensure that he couldn't even make the entry level pass to Kareem, because that's how much they feared him getting the ball in the post, knowing that they knew what was coming, but they knew they couldn't stop it. So that was an issue. And then when we talk about the effectiveness of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like I mentioned, 20 seasons in the NBA, 19 of those seasons he shot above 50% and had multiple years of a true shooting percentage close to, if not better than 60%. So when I look at that and I think about the consistency of that stretched across years, the defensive attention, Kareem drew that all the time. Shit, in the 1988 NBA Finals, the phantom foul was called on Bill Laimbeer based off of his reputation, and that was a move that he knew was coming with that skyhook that eventually led to Kareem getting the free throws, but he still couldn't stop it. At the end of the day, Kareem's skyhook became a move set that, like I said, was only unique to him. So when you look at everybody else in the league at that time, the guys that he was going up against, Kareem probably faced the most Hall of Fame level competition at his position than any of the all-time greats. When you think about the fact that when he walked into the league, he was battling Wilt Chamberlain, and then by the tail end of his career, he was being able to experience a young Hakeem and Patrick Ewing. So all of that in all leads me to believe that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had the longevity along with the efficiency and the better offensive weapon.
Okay. Let's go ahead and run the polls. Let's run the time, and you guys run over and let us know who you believe won that round. You got, well, that topic. You got 1 minute and 30 seconds to vote based off who you think was just a better debater in that round. Salute to everybody that's in here. Once again, make sure you guys are coming in and liking the video. Make sure you guys are subscribing to Player's Choice. And if you have any doubts as to whether you should be a member, you should definitely go ahead and do that. And if you have any doubts as to what membership tier you should join that Hall of Fame tier. Be a GOAT. Don't be a bench warmer. Salute to these two guys. They came in first round. It was a lot of hooks thrown, a lot of haymakers thrown, a couple jabs. It was a couple jabs in there, but they did a solid job. Either way it goes, we got 40 seconds. You guys get your votes in right now. Run over to the polls. Make that happen. I'm waiting for the judges to send me over their votes right now. We're going to tally all this up. And at the end of this, I will let you guys know who is victorious and who's not. All right, here we go, y'all. About 15 more seconds to go. Need y'all to get these votes in. In the meantime, for our next topic, we have the better duo in their primes. Magic and Larry, or LeBron and Steph? All right, Swiper, you went first for the first topic. So ZZ, you already know it's on you, and you get a chance to start whenever you feel like it, and the timer start.
All right. So for me, better duo in their primes. The first question I thought of was a prime, or first thought I thought of was a prime Steph Curry and a prime LeBron James. Which prime do you really want to go with, especially for LeBron James? For me, I thought I was going to go 2013, mainly because when you look at LeBron at that time, he had the perfect combination of athleticism, a reliable and consistent jumper, defensive prowess, and playmaking ability. And then when you think about prime Steph Curry, you can go 2016 for sure, which is exactly where I went, mainly because the efficiency argument is through the roof. He shot 50, 40, 90, averaged 30 points, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds, or one of the two. But at the end of the day, for me, when I look at Magic and Larry Bird, they had great moments, and all due respect to them. But their primes do not come close for me to Steph and LeBron James. When you look at what you essentially have when you list all four players, the weakest scorer in the mix is Magic Johnson. You can make an argument that he's the best playmaker, but LeBron James is right there behind him. You could also add Larry Bird in there, and Steph Curry isn't a bad playmaker of himself because we know the gravity that he brings when he's literally is on the basketball court. So for me, when I look at all of that and I wrap all that up, when I look at Steph Curry in his prime and the offense that he generates, that Swiper just pointed out in the last round so delicately, I'm thinking about the fact that you have LeBron James at his peak, if you want to say that, in terms of just all around ability, and Steph Curry running off of screens and creating space. It's a done deal. They're the better duo in their prime.
Swiper, you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I've thought about this pretty heavily, and I think when you're talking about, like you mentioned, playmaking, well, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson are two of the 5 best playmakers ever, 2 of the 5 best passers ever. And after Apex, they were both battling for a decade for best players in the world. Larry Bird during the 1980s, 3 NBA championships, 3 MVPs. Magic Johnson, 3 NBA champion or 3 MVPs, multiple NBA championships, 3 Finals MVP, and both of them were 10-time All-NBA players. Magic Johnson, at his very best, was a double-digit assist player and a double-digit scorer and one of the best rebounding guards in league history. And he led the best offense in league history, especially with that 1987 year. Larry Bird is one of the most skilled offensive players ever. And at his apex, from 1983 to 1987, you could say that there was not a player in the NBA with less flaws than Larry Bird, fully healthy at his apex. He was one of the most dominant scorers we had ever seen, one of the most dominant rebounders we had ever seen, one of the most dominant playmakers and passers we had ever seen. And he was a 50% from 2, 40% from 3, 89, 90% from the line free throw player over the course of his apex. And then let alone talk about the NBA playoff, let alone talk about the NBA finals. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson are 2 of the best performers in playoff offenses or defensive schemes that we have ever seen. And when you talk about the fact they came into an NBA that was basically being rendered useless by most of America, they helped to revitalize the sport because they took it to heights it had never been, because these were 2 of the very best of all time, 2 of the 7 best players ever.
It's back on you, ZZ.
So, yeah, they did revolutionize the game for their time, but Steph Curry, we all know, revolutionized the game individually, and LeBron James is arguably the greatest player of all time. So when you combine the fact that, like you said, you could say that Larry is a top 5 playmaker. I could argue it on a Tuesday, but I'm not going to do it right now. When I look at LeBron James, he is arguably a top 5 playmaker of all time as well, and definitely a top 3 IQ in NBA history. You combine that with the fact that, yes, at his peak, Magic was a phenomenal player. He wasn't a better scorer than Steph Curry. Why? Because he wasn't a better shooter. When we talk about the postseason, like you did, we can talk about it as well. How many great postseason moments has LeBron James had, right? How many postseason records has Steph Curry broken? Shit, I remember the 2018 NBA Finals. He broke numerous three-point records, including most three-pointers made in the game. And then we can obviously talk about Game 4 from 2022, arguably Steph Curry's greatest finals game ever, or greatest game ever. And it just so happened to fall in a situation where his team was down 2-1 and needed him the most, and he showed up. So when I look at all of that, I think to myself, how will these players complement each other? Look, we saw it in the Olympics. A LeBron James and Steph Curry pick and fade is arguably the most dangerous move in all of NBA history. Why? Because you have to pick a side. Not to mention the fact you can talk about these guys in transition. Magic was a phenomenal transition player. LeBron is arguably the greatest transition player of all time. So imagine if you're a defender in a 2-on-1 situation and you got prime LeBron and prime Steph coming down the court. What you gonna do? Shit yourself? Yeah, exactly. There's really nothing you can do. Better duo LeBron and Steph, bro. Come on now.
Swiper.
Yeah, so I think it's funny you're saying that Magic wasn't the scorer Steph is, when you know Steph couldn't hold a candle to Magic Johnson as a playmaker or passer or rebounder or even let alone defender. And then when you're talking about Larry Bird literally, if you're talking about Magic and Larry playing together, Larry's legitimately the greatest floor spacer at that point in time of anybody you could put next to Magic, and especially in that era. Magic was, again, the best half-court passer the game to this day has ever seen. If you put Larry next to him, you're running DHOs, you're running curls, you're running pin down, you want to run a 1-3 pick and roll, 1-4 pick and roll, you got Larry a small ball, and you're talking about a pop-out for Larry Bird with Magic Johnson, or are you going to switch it? I'm going to get a Larry Bird on the post, I'm going to put you right into the rim versus anybody you want to put there that's a little bit too small or a little bit too big, and I'm getting around you if you're too big. So this is the thing. Larry and Magic, because of their ability to translate their game at the highest level versus any level of competition in NBA history, that's what makes them more superior. And Magic, again, is a 19 and 12 assist player in his NBA Finals career. 19 points and 12 assists in his NBA Finals career. And despite whatever you try to do defensively, he's going to get down to the paint, he's going to finish over you, or he's going to find everybody available on the court available to him. And then for Larry Bird on the other end, again, Larry Bird, one of the best one-on-one players you can give it to, one of the best bottom shooters you can give it to, get to the mid-range, get to the post, get to the rim, whatever you want to do. Literally, the two would be flawless as a duo because there's nothing they wouldn't be able to do to you on any offensive possession ever.
How you feel about that, ZZ? It's back on you.
So this is my thing, right? Imagine you look at the 73 and 9 Warriors in 2016, right? What did they do to get better? They got Kevin Durant. So you mean to tell me that team posted one of the greatest net ratings in NBA history, 67 win team, back-to-back finals appearances, back-to-back finals championships. You mean to tell me that you replace Kevin Durant with LeBron James and they don't get even better somehow, some way? When we're talking about, you want to talk about the things that you can do with Larry and Magic. Look, I don't give a damn. You could put all four of these guys on the same team. The one player out of the four of them that's getting the most attention from the defense would be Steph Curry. And if you mean to sit here and tell me that Steph and LeBron as a duo would be on the court at the same time, that LeBron James and his great playmaking ability wouldn't be able to find Steph Curry, you're crazy. And then the fact that you're trying to downplay Steph Curry's playmaking abilities just because he doesn't average as many assists as Magic Johnson, right? Just because he doesn't average as many assists as Chris Paul, or maybe even a prime Russell Westbrook. But the one thing that you wouldn't say about Steph Curry is that he's a terrible playmaker, because he's not. When he is on the floor, the attention gets drawn to him. It doesn't matter if Kevin Durant's on the floor with him, or LeBron James, or Klay Thompson, or Draymond Green, whatever, or even anybody on Team USA. Steph Curry is going to get the most attention. So you mean to tell me that you have a situation where you have a prime LeBron and Steph Curry, gravity, space, playmaking, defense, shooting, scoring, all of those things are covered with those guys. You add Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, your scoring is not going to amount to the same exact that it would with a prime LeBron and a prime Steph Curry. It's that simple.
Yo, Swiper, it is back to you. Talk to us.
Yeah. So again, if you're saying LeBron, just replace him with Kevin Durant and it's the same, well, no, it's not. LeBron is a primary on-ball player. And so then if you're going to say Magic Johnson next to Larry Bird, again, I gave you some sets. So if you want to run some 1-3, 1-4 pick and rolls, you want to run DHOs, you want to run curl, you want to run backside action, you want to get off-ball movement, Larry Bird would be better at that than LeBron because of the fact that he is literally a better natural floor spacer shooter in that position. And again, Larry Bird, as a playmaker himself, if you want to get Magic diving off the action, or you want to get another player in the corner, spot up three-point shooter, or you want to give him a lob threat for Magic or for Larry, either hand, if they get to the mid-range area, they're going to cook you. They're going to be able to get to where they want, and they're going to be able to get the ball up and either score, or they're going to pass to whatever lob threat you want to give them. If you give them floor spacers, they can do whatever they need to do with that. So again, if you're talking about a duo, neither of them is a negative defender. Neither one of them is going to be taken advantage of on that end. And on the other side of the ball, literally you got two transcendent passers and a floor spacer shooter post player that you can do anything you want with in Larry Bird, who at his apex is also better than Steph Curry. Magic Johnson at his apex is also better than Steph Curry. LeBron is the GOAT. But again, you're talking about how do two duos play together. One of the reasons why they would have ran through anybody you put them up against, because at that time, at their apex from 1984 to 89, there would have been nothing that you could have did to slow them down, because they just had too much they could get to at all time, which is what makes them the best ever.
Yes, sir. Let's run the polls, throw the time up, and you guys got a minute and 30 seconds to go over there and vote based on a couple different principles and a couple different key points that you guys should remember when you're voting. Which one of these debaters was more logical? Who had the better points? Who provided facts and context and gave you accurate data to support their claims? Who came through with the rebuttals? Who had counterpoints? Who used multi-level arguments? Ultimately, which one of these guys was more persuasive? Who had the better delivery? Who was smoother? Who was more confident? Who ultimately just sounded better? Who was more entertaining? Energy, who brought the dynamicness to their argument? A little bit of personality, humor, all of that good stuff, delivery, and ultimately, you guys got to be objective and you got to be fair, okay? It's not about who you like more. It's not about who had the better topic or whether you think Larry Bird's better than Steph or whether you think Bron's better than Magic. Ultimately, who made the better points? All right, the poll is running. Make sure you get over here and vote. I'm waiting for the judges to tap in, and then we will move on to the next topic. Salute to everybody that's in the chat. Make sure you like the video. Like. All right, let's go. The judges have sent in their vote. All right, cool. We are waiting for ZZ to tap back in. I don't know what's going on his end, but while we're waiting for that, here's what we'll go ahead and do. We will introduce topic 3, the most underrated player ever. We got Dr. J, Julius Erving, versus Timmy D. When ZZ taps back in, we'll get back into it. Swipe it will be on you first. But while we are waiting for that, what I'm going to do is let you guys know some of the other matchups that we got going on later today. So, right after this battle, we got the number 2 seed, Dion from Ohio, versus MTL. Then we got the number 7 seed, Elder Rufus, versus number 10 seed, John D. Then we got the number 4 seed, Big Ox Bob, versus number 14, Gifted. And obviously, right now, we have number 4, Swiper, versus number 13, ZZ. Most underrated player ever. We got topic 3 right now. This will more than likely determine who wins this debate and moves on. Swiper, it's on you first. And when you start, your time will start.
So when you're talking about what underrated means, the definition of underrated means to not be rated or valued high enough or underestimated in extent, value, and importance. The most underrated player between Dr. J, Julius Erving, and Tim Duncan is Dr. J. People, because he played at a time and played in a league in the ABA that is not widely celebrated now. He played at a time where you didn't have access to televisions and social media. And so people underestimate how good he was because all you really see is a reverse layup under the rim or him in the dunk contest, not understanding that he's one of the most dominant players we've ever had in the game. Over the course of his ABA career, he averaged 28.7 points per game, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. Y'all, he had 2 championships in the ABA. He was a 4-time MVP over the course of his career. He's one of the best scorers we've ever had. He's one of the best defensive wings that we had, especially at that point in time. He was a very good playmaker. He was an elite rebounder for a wing. And because of his athleticism and how smart he was, there was nothing you could do to keep him from getting to a spot on the court. And again, he played versus some of the very best talents that you could put in front of him. But the issue is when you're talking about most underrated, nobody cares about what you did in the ABA. No one cares about what he did prior to joining the Philadelphia 76ers. But if you go back and watch his career, he's one of the 10 to 15 best players ever.
Topic 3, round 1, ZZ. Let's do it.
Listen, I got mad love for Dr. J. But for me, the main reason why I picked Tim Duncan is because when you ask a lot of people like who the best player in the 2000s was, some people will say Kobe, and it's mainly between Kobe and Duncan, right? But when you look at why people say Kobe clears, and they'll never really give Tim Duncan the credit for just how dominant he was during that time, even from a 10-year stretch from 98 to 08, where he averaged 22 a game, 12 rebounds, playing on a slow-paced team Spurs. This you got to think, too. In the 2000s, that was one of the biggest, toughest defensive eras ever, low scoring and all that. Tim Duncan played on one of the most boring teams in basketball. So when you look at that, when you look at a guy like Tim Duncan compared to other guys at his time, like Kevin Garnett, guys that were looked at as simply put better scorers because their games were more flashy, even though Tim Duncan at times didn't even need to give you 28 a game, because if he gave you a good 22, 12, 4 blocks, whatever, 5 assists, whatever, it was good enough to get the job done. Timmy played a style of basketball that when you really look at the box score, it doesn't tell you everything. This guy was a 5-time champion, 3-time finals MVP, 2-time MVP, 15-time All-Star, tied for third all time. And another thing that doesn't get talked about is even his college days. If you really think about it, Tim Duncan was the one guy that you could look at and say, you know what, who's going to be the next Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's going to have that type of story? It was him. In college, he's a 3-time D-Boy, 2-time ACC player of the year, 2-time consensus All-American, champion, all-time rebounds leader when he left college. These are reasons why I think he's underrated.
Back to you, Swiper. Talk to us.
Again, the question is the most underrated player ever. And relative to where people hold him, most people consider Tim Duncan one of the 10 best players ever. Some people have him as high as 7 or 8, some even 6. So most underrated is if you were a wing that this was this dominant. I mean, do you that he walked in the ABA, walked into the playoff, Julius Erving averaging 37.8 points a game, 30 points a game in series, 30 points a game again. He was one of the best scorers ever, one of the best rebounders. And the thing is like, when you're talking about players having the impact on the league that he did, like literally a part of the reason the NBA got as popular as it did was because of his impact on the sport once he got there, because it was just like you drafting the number 1 draft pick in the league. He also happened to be the best player in his league at the time. He gets to the NBA, and now all of a sudden everybody is focused on what's happening in Philly. What's he doing in Philly? Philly becomes a super viable team. They win a championship in 1983 in a large part because of his success as an overall player. And again, if you're talking about someone that doesn't get the due for why they should be relegated as one of the 10 to 15 best players ever, well, it's because it's Julius. Like, even if I asked you right now to name you your best playoff series from Julius Erving before the ABA, when he was in the ABA, before the NBA Finals 1983, you probably couldn't do it because no one talks about that. But if I tell you about Tim Duncan, you can point to 2002, you can point to 2003, you can point to 2014 when he switches to the 5 and he's one of the best defensive bigs in the league. The conversation's different.
All right, ZZ, it's back on you.
So for me, another thing too, I like how you brought up the point of him absolutely turning around and making that Philadelphia franchise more profitable. That's true. With Tim Duncan, you can make the same exact argument for him in San Antonio and what he really brought in terms of value, overall value to that city for 20 damn years and multiple different iterations of big 3s and big 4s and good teams. Tim Duncan's ability to literally say to himself, where some players in his position would probably look at less shot attempts as a problem, for him not only to have less shot attempts in those latter half of his career, but to still be efficient in that category is just amazing to me. When you look at the fact that 2013, he was 36 years old and he made an All-NBA first team. Look, for me, you could say, that Timmy gets his due diligence from some people, but when you look at the context of his career as a whole, if certain things go right, like him being inserted into Game 6 in the 2013 Finals, if he gets that rebound and he goes perfect in the NBA Finals for his career, where would that do for his all-time ranking? He probably would be in a lot of people's top 4s instead of people's top 7 ranges. That's what I'm saying when we're talking about underrated. And then when you look at, like I said, in the peak of his years, in the early 2000s and beyond, in that stretch I mentioned earlier, between 1998 and 2008, Tim Duncan was giving you 22 a game, 12 and 3, playing on a team in the San Antonio Spurs that never ranked in the top half for the league in pace. So when you factor that into the fact that the consensus around San Antonio Spurs games at that time was, oh, it's boring basketball, for Tim to still persevere through that, it's underrated to me, man. I'm sorry.
Round 3, Swiper.
Yeah, so again, the onus is going to be on you, ZZ. Dr. J, again, based on where he is in his career, you name me another player that won 4 MVPs in basketball in the pros that doesn't get celebrated and talked about like this. We talk more about Moses Malone, respectfully, on PC than we ever do Dr. J. When we talk about the best wings of all time, we barely bring his name up in the conversation. We talk about the best finishers of all time. We barely bring his name up in conversation. Talk about the best drivers of all time. We barely bring his name up, if ever. in any conversation when you bring up the best scorers, if ever. Similar to Warren Moon in the NFL. When Warren Moon walked into the league, he had already had 4 Grey Cups. He was one of the best quarterbacks ever to start his career off, but because he did it in another league that nobody cares about, it never gets discussed or talked about. And now when we talk about his accolades, it's like, well, yeah, he did have these MVPs in the ABA. Well, yeah, he did win championships in the ABA, but it was a lesser league. Nobody really cares what's happening. Now, what did you do in the NBA? Well, by the time he gets to the NBA, he was already well into his career. So, like, even the conversation around Julius doesn't actually highlight any of his strength and the things that he did at a transcendent level. Again, in the 1970s, he was one of the best players in the world, had an argument outside of this, the other side of Kareem as the best player, and nobody talked about it and discussed it. And especially in the 90s and 2000s and 2010s and 2020, when you bring up Dr. J's name, all they're going to tell you, he was a great dunker. He dunked from the free throw line in the dunk contest, and that's that. Nothing about the MVP to championships, any of it at all.
Let's go.
So, am I good?
Yeah. It's on you.
So, but I know you said that PC doesn't really bring up Dr. J. Well, you want to know what I've seen on PC here in the last year? I've seen Anthony Davis be looked at as better than Timmy D. And I've seen Showdown almost have a damn heart attack trying to defend my man Timmy D. So let me just say this, all right? In terms of underrated for me, that's right in the box. That's right in the category. When we're talking about the greatest defenders of all time, I don't hear Tim Duncan's name come out of a lot of people's mouths originally. You'll hear guys like Hakeem Olajuwon before you'll hear Tim Duncan, even though Tim Duncan has the most defensive selections of all time with 15. And then when we talk about the greatest playoff scorers as well, you rarely hear Tim Duncan's name, even though he's 6th all time in playoff points. Like I said with the defense as well, you can make a legitimate argument that Tim Duncan was the best defender in the history of the league, but you don't hear that a lot of the times. Why? When you look at him for his career, 2nd all-time in defensive win shares, 3rd all-time in defensive rating, 12th all-time in defensive blocks plus minus. All the advanced stats, they show you that he damn near averaged a quadruple double in the NBA Finals. That shows you that as well. 1st in blocks for all time in the postseason. All of these things you don't hear get talked about when people talk about Tim Duncan. That's just my biggest thing. When I think about underrated in terms of when he was at his peak, there was a guy in Kobe Bryant that was ranked ahead of him in the popularity vote. Guys like Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki were also looked at as better scorers, even though Tim, he had a polished game and the greatest bank shot in NBA history. For me, he's an underrated player.
All right, let's do it. Let's run the polls and get to the actual numbers and facts. 1 minute and 30 seconds is on the clock. Y'all know what to do. Don't hesitate. Get over there. Go and vote on who you believe made the more logical points, was more compelling, and ultimately, who do you think won this debate? We got about 1 minute and 10 seconds left. The judges are going to go ahead and send me their votes. Chat, man, how y'all feeling today? Is everybody good? Everybody having a good weekend? Is this not a good weekend, Cap? Is the PCL not bringing you the 16 best debaters on earth? Are we not entertaining you? Is this not what y'all want? Make sure you like the video and make sure you become a member. If you're having any second guesses, just hit that Hall of Fame tier. I'm looking at the poll right now. It's looking kind of, I don't know.
ZZ, I was with you until you made the best defender ever argument and then, brought up playoff scoring because I can name about 4 of the bigs that were better playoff scorers at this time. I can shout at you.
Hey, man. I can't blame you for that. I ain't gonna lie. But I ain't gonna lie. Recently, I did hear Chill say Hakeem was the best defender of all time, I think, on the panel. So that was where that came from in terms of just recency bias for the greatest defender of all time in some people's eyes. And in Chill's, it was Hakeem. So I was like, wait a minute, come on now. But yeah.
All right, y'all. We got a couple more seconds left. And that is time for round 3. All right, fellas. The judges got their votes in. The chat has their votes in. And we are at the end of this debate. 3 solid topics with 2 amazing debaters, but only one of you can advance to the next round. So let me go ahead and let y'all know how the judges and the votes panned out. Round 1, we got Swiper 2-1. Topic 2. We got Swiper 2-1. Round 3. We got a sweep today, ladies and gentlemen. Swiper 3-0. He won all 3 topics.
Oh yeah, I don't
Jeezy,
I don't personally I don't agree. I thought you won round 2. That's
I thought so too. It's all good though. I was gonna give you 2-1. I was gonna give you 2-1.
Yeah, I mean I wanted the other option was Kevin Garnett for the last one, but I've not argued Dr. J.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel you.
I'm not gonna lie. If I would have took Garnett, I would,
a sweep. Crazy work. Hey, shout out to Swiper. Shout out to everybody else in the PCL. I had fun. I had a lot of fun. Swiper, I'll see you soon, brother.
For sure.
Fellas, definitely appreciate y'all for coming through. Definitely appreciate y'all for joining the PCL. Definitely appreciate y'all for doing what y'all do. Oh,
one of us got
He said no. He said
real motion, and it's not Ron. It's not Ron.
He said if Swiper sweep, he was gonna send $100. I see that shit.
Shout out Swiper, man. He got fans out here. Shout out Swiper. Swiper, you are moving on to the Elite 8. How does that feel?
Hey, I'm just glad to be here, man. And I appreciate all the opportunities. So I'm glad.
Swiper, what seat are you?
Great. Apparently I was 4. Word on the street. Dion was 2nd. Chill was 5th, I think. Mars was 1, and then somebody was 3. I can't remember who 3 was. I think Ox might have been 3, actually, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So
okay. Well,
so I mean, but then that means that's a weird that's gonna put me in a weird, because
why is that?
That's a lot. That's a lot for somebody to deal with. Because next round and then round after that, especially we're gonna get into the more modern talks and stuff. That's gonna be a tough out for somebody for sure. But it's just gonna be good.
Okay, well, best of luck to whoever has to face Swiper next. ZZ, appreciate you for joining up. Hopefully, you will be back around for PCL Season 2.
Oh, hell yeah, for sure.
In the meantime, ZZ, I'll see you soon, ZZ.
I'll see you soon.
I'll see you real soon. All right, y'all. I'll holler at y'all later. All right, Swiper. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement. Next up, we have MTEL versus Dion from Ohio. And after that, we have Elder Rufus versus John D. Unfortunately, Elder Rufus isn't going to be able to make this battle. Is he ducking smoke? Y'all got to ask him. I don't know. I'm just a messenger. Said he's not going to be able to make it due to other things on his schedule that he has to take care of. So, John D will be advancing. Shout out to John D. He's a wild card, and he got a bye week 1, just like Chill. John D out here getting veteran treatment, having a 4-goal round 1 and going directly to round 2. So, John D, I see you in the back right now, John D. John D, what's up?
How you doing? How you doing? How you
What's
doing?
up?
How you
What's up?
doing? I'm gonna say this. I don't want to buy. I want to earn my way. So, let's see. Who OG. If he got snubbed against
Now, it
Chill,
was
make it.
so. What you want? Chill?
No, I'm just saying, like anybody that got snubbed, like OG got snubbed. So I would like
No.
way.
OG the Beast dropped out, and it was him versus Chill.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I appreciate it once again. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I have a pretty good chance of making it to the next round. I feel like I could make a run in this, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel right.
Why doesn't it feel right? You gotta take your wins when you get them.
I get it, but I
What
don't
if,
know.
what if you just scared to fart at an old ass Elder Rufus? What if that was the case?
I appreciate the
Maybe
respect.
you struck
bro.
fear into him.
I appreciate the respect, but I don't know. It's just
Yo,
Oh,
you
no.
ain't never had somebody beat before you actually played them. Like you ain't never played somebody 1-on-1 and they like, I know I'm gonna lose, but I'm gonna just play because I have to play.
2K.
You see what I'm saying? So maybe this was one of them old 2K matchups where, unfortunately, Elder Rufus just knew it was over before it started, so he decided not to show up.
Hey, well, Elder, much respect. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I'll be moving on to the next round. Whoever I get to go against, I'll do double the studying just to make sure that this isn't a fluke run. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Well, nonetheless, John D, salute to you. You will be advancing as a number 10 seed. So shout out to you. And on top of that, Elder Rufus, I sent you a message, but appreciate you for joining up. I was joking about the whole old fart comment. Don't take me too serious. And then also, too, once again, I hope to see you, both of you guys, in season 2. John, I'll be communicating with you. I'll let you know who you will know by the end of tonight who you will be facing.
I'll be watching. I already got my little bracket on paper. I'm crossing names out. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing my research, so I'll be watching.
As of right now, though, just to throw this out there, as of right now, it will be you versus Swiper.
Oh, a rematch. I like it.
I'm not saying that that's how it's going to turn out to be, but as of right now, it will be you versus Swiper unless Big Ox takes care of business or Dion takes care of business. Then it'll either be you versus Dion or you versus Big Ox. So you won't face Mars. He's the top seed. You will face the second highest seed, whether that's Dion from Ohio, the number 2 seed, or Big Ox, who's the number 3 seed.
All right, that's cool. That's cool with me.
All right. I'll holler at you soon. I'll let you know what's going on. And
all right.
Salute to you.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what else to say. Hey, I don't want to say you a lucky man, but you did what you got to do, I guess.
I bet.
All right, I'm gonna holler at you soon.
I appreciate it.
All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and get into it. We got MTL versus Dion from Ohio. Word just came in. Obviously, Elder Rufus will not be able to make next battle, so John D will advance. Dion from Ohio and MTL coming up next. I'm gonna go ahead and bring these brothers up, and we're gonna go ahead and get into it. What's going on, MTL?
What's up, Ron? What's up?
How you feel about your other fellow wild card mate getting a bye?
I'm gonna be honest. At this point, I'm like everybody getting bye weeks. I kind of feel like I deserve one too. I don't know.
Well, once again, don't shoot the messenger.
Hey,
Word on the streets is that you got a bye week, in that Dion was just hot for the regular season, but they're saying that his game can't translate to the playoffs.
I guess we're gonna find out.
All right. Hey, look, this is what Mars said. I'm just reiterating what Mars said. Copy and paste. That's it. Dion, what's going on, brother?
What's up? Hey, Mars, watch your mouth.
Hey, Mars,
how y'all doing?
Cool. Doing good.
Cool. How you living?
Chilling, man. Feeling great. Ready to battle. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those days. Let's get to it.
Oh, all right. MTL, never mind. You might not have a bye week. All right, let's do it. We got 3 good topics with 2 good contestants, and only one of y'all can move on. So let's get into the first one. The question is, who do you want as your franchise player for the next 8 years? Anthony Edwards or Ja Morant? Dion, you will go first, and your time will start whenever you start.
Is this a real question? Give me Ant. I'm taking Anthony Edwards over Ja Morant. We talking 8 years. Is Ja going to even be around in 8 years? How many high-flying point guards stay around in this league? Derrick Rose, short career. How about John Wall? Only effective high flyer point guard I've seen is Russell Westbrook. Listen, my point is undersized point guards that play above the rim tend to get injured. And Ja has a pretty record of injuries in his entire career. Let's talk about the shoulder injury, the hand, the wrist, the ankle, the hip, the thigh, the knee, the foot, and the back since he entered the league. He's only been in the league for 5 years, bro. Listen, he tried to clear Anthony Davis on an impossible dunk. So it's not like he's a smart finisher to the basket. So we have to be concerned about this going forward. Listen, there's something in this game that he's going to need to fix until he can be the actual player he needs to be to consistently be in this league for the next 8 years. But when it comes to Anthony Edwards, he's a total opposite. Anthony Edwards has played 79 games the last 2 seasons in a row. Listen, Anthony Edwards has never missed 10 games in 1 season. Listen, actually, Ant is one of the most, I would say, durable players in the league today. I mean, he can show up every day and he can perform every day. This is why I'm going with Anthony Edwards for the first 8 years.
Okay, we got Anthony, but let's hear about Ja, MTL.
All right, so hey, listen, I'm getting revenge for Jack. How do you make a beast? You gotta start by making a monster. I'm not about to be nice this time. Listen, y'all been sleeping on Ja for way too long, man. Where I wanted to start with, yes, I understand people gonna bring up injuries. Oh, he gets hurt and stuff. But you know a time when he wasn't hurt? When he played the Timberwolves. What happened then? Oh, okay. Yeah, they already beat them one time. They could do it again. Who are we talking about? We talking about Ja Morant. Yes, you talking about guards and they be getting hurt and stuff like that. Hey, listen, all this is a mindset thing. You can say the same things about Ja that you can say about Anthony Edwards in terms of just childish stuff. They both do childish things on the court. They both do stuff that's unnecessary. Ja be out here, doing the, gun stuff and playing around this and that. But Anthony Edwards has also been known to play around. This dude said he was the best player on Team USA just to be coming off the bench at a certain point in time. There was 1, maybe 2 games where he looked like he was like that. We talking about playoff side by side. Ja has already beat his team 1 time. The Timberwolves have underperformed against Ja's team already, and Ja's team has shown year after year that they can be a top tier team in the league. Yes, we can bring up injuries here and there, but hey, players get injured. I've seen other great players get injured, come back, and also win championships from that. Hey, but that's why I'm gonna start that right there, though.
All right, Dion is back on you, round 2.
So, MTL, you're not going to sweep under the rug his situation and his problems and what he had in his career. So, this next step I want to talk about is maturity levels, because you just don't have, you have no clue about the immaturity of Ja Morant. Listen. If I'm a GM, I want to know that I can trust my main guy to lead by example, and I don't know if Ja can do that. Do I really need to get into the suspensions or the poor decisions that Ja's made in his career? Listen, I get it. He's human. We all are human. We all make mistakes. But again, if I'm a GM, that's another red flag to have. It just makes me question, are you up for the task of being a team leader? Is this the franchise player I want to lead my team with, right, for the next 8 years? The answer is no, not over Anthony Edwards. Listen, Ant has shown maturity since the beginning. You see vets on the Timberwolves, looking for guidance in Ant. Cat been in the league for how many years? Multiple years, looking for guidance from Ant. You know what I'm saying? Edwards been one of the best players inside of his draft since the beginning. Anthony Edwards beat what? Jokic and Kevin Durant. Listen, and he got to the Western Conference Finals. Listen, how does this take Jokic and KD? Like when you look at this, his leadership and what he can do and what he's about is better than Ja. Anthony Edwards literally eats basketball, breathes basketball, sleep basketball. It's that simple.
Back to you, MTL. How simple is it?
Man, listen, bro. He don't eat, sleep basketball. Bro has already admitted that he doesn't even watch 90s basketball. He thought Michael Jordan was the only one that was athletic in his time. He really don't know what he's talking about. We talking about real basketball knowledge. He just be out there saying what comes to his mind. You want to talk about talent for talent? Ja has shown you all the different talent stuff that you need to see. He showed you the mentality when you need him to step up. Even the injuries y'all talking about, man, it hurt his hand and still came out there and dropped almost 30 on the Lakers right off of injuring his hand. So we already know he has a stronger fight than Anthony Edwards. Let's start talking about teammates. You talking about like who has a better team? Listen, Ja's team has shown a great history of drafting. You have had Triple J, you have had Gigi Jackson, you've had Zach Edey now, you have Brandon Clark, you have Desmond Bain, even Dylan Brooks. Their team knows how to draft better. Who does the Timberwolves have? We're still talking about Rudy Gobert not being able to guard in the playoffs. We're talking about, oh, he got this guy, that guy. He got Mike Conley. Mike Conley is about to be 40. He can't keep him forever. Their team is going to decline. And I need to see more stuff out of Ant for me to be like, okay, he's this guy, he's that guy. Y'all kept comparing him to Michael Jordan. And he came out there and played bad. Yes, his team beat the Nuggets, but it wasn't because of him. Then we watched him go back and play the Mavericks the very next series, and he looked bad the whole series. He was getting blown by, and he couldn't score like we was used to seeing.
Round 3. Dion, let's go.
All right, so this last part is strictly about basketball. How do I see your game translating over the next 8 years, right? And for a guy like Ja, I can assume, his athleticism won't be there in the next 8 years. And at that point, I'll have to look at his jump shot. And by the numbers, I'm not so confident in his jumper. Ja shoots 31% for his career. I'm not sure that's going to change. Listen, how is Ja going to affect the game when he starts to slow down? It's not like Ja's a great defender, right? It's not like he could hang his head on the defensive end. So what is Ja going to do? Listen, all this being said, this got me to just think about it's going to be harder to build around Ja in the future, right? His limits of basically having to have an all-time defensive team around him with a whole bunch of shooters, it's going to be hard for me to find. Now, when it comes to Anthony Edwards, it's literally the complete opposite. 35% from the three-point line. That's what he shoots. So at that point, I could build around him. I can put two bigs around him. I could put him inside of a 5-out. I have so many more options to build the team around Anthony Edwards. And also, what does he do? What's his best thing he do? He shoots mid-range shot, right? So in the future, when he slows down and he can't dunk on you, he's still gonna have a mid-range game to go to. So he's still gonna age like fine wine. We seen a guy named 2-3 do it, Michael Jordan. We see him do it later in his career. He took that mid-range, started having that. So I'm definitely taking Anthony Edwards for the next 8 years.
Okay. So we want to go there. All right, let's talk about percentages. Do you know the last time Ja played in the playoffs, he shot a higher percentage from the three than Anthony Edwards. He's already shown higher shooting peaks than Anthony Edwards. We get way too enamored in Anthony Edwards' game. I love Anthony Edwards, but we're not going to sit here and just cap for him. Bro has a lot of deficiencies in his offense that is clear as day that, okay, you want to talk about Ja's athleticism falling. Is he not still a better passer than Anthony Edwards? I watched Anthony Edwards throw the ball out of bounds multiple times to wide open corner players. Wide open, almost 6'10" corner players on his team, missing them. I was about to say Ja has a better vision than him. Ja has a better feel of the game than him. Ja knows how to attack the rim at a better clip than him, in my opinion. You can talk about defense, but honestly, if we're being honest, Ant's defense is really overrated. We just watched him get cooked by old Kyrie. We watched him get cooked by Luka. It was happening back and forth. He was taking both matchups. It didn't really matter who he was guarding. They was cooking him. It kept happening over and over. They would blame Rudy Gobert for what he was messing up with. We talking about who's going to be better long term. I would trust Ja's playmaking because I think playmaking has a very higher ceiling than what we've seen from Ant. Yes, you could be like, okay, he's made it farther in playoffs. That's 1 year. Ja's team is shown to be more consistent year after year. Anthony Edwards got 1 year of watching him in the playoffs go this deep, and y'all overrating him that fast.
Cue them polls up, run the time, and y'all get over there and vote on who you think won topic 1. Who would you want as your franchise player over the next 8 years? Ant-Man or Ja Morant? Who y'all think won this one? Dion from Ohio or MTL? You guys both had compelling arguments, but only one of you can win this round. Chat, get over there, vote. Is it a timer not working? All right, there it go. All right, cool. We back in business. Y'all got some extra time for all the sluffers, foot draggers, and lazy people. Y'all got a couple extra seconds to get over there and put in your votes. All right, I see what the polls looking like right now. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, It's about 300 people in here right now. Let's get the likes up. We only at 62 likes. Come on, y'all. Slap that like button. Let's get the likes up. Let's also get the votes up too. You guys, this vote absolutely matters. And it's pivotal in which one of these guys will move on to the next round. Need you guys' crowd participation. In the meantime, let me get the judges' actual opinions on who will win this first topic. Okay. Interesting things being said by the judges right now. Interesting. All right. You guys make sure you vote with complete objectiveness and no bias. Don't vote based on who you like more or who you think is a better, who had the better topic or anything like that. Don't vote on Dion because you like Anthony Edwards more. Vote on who made the better points, who was more convincing, who was more persuasive, who had rebuttals, who had the best deliveries, who was more entertaining, who had more energy, and who ultimately provided facts and context. Here we go. We getting into topic 2. And for this topic, we have who's the bigger draft bust ever? Anthony Bennett or Kwame Brown? Who's the bigger bust? Pause. It's on you, MTL. Talk to us.
All right. So my person I went with was Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown was definitely the biggest bust in NBA history. Self-admittedly, my man's told me his best skill was that he could screen for people. Number 1 overall draft pick, by the way, y'all. He said, my best skill, man, I could really screen for people. That's what I could do. This is the dude that you pick number 1 overall. Oh, you want to talk about Anthony Benson? Like you could bring up numbers and stuff. That's cool. Both of their numbers was trash. But the difference between Kwame Brown and Anthony Bennett, people was projecting Kwame to go number 1, and he did. He was projected to be like Kevin Garnett. That was his draft day projection. Anthony Bennett was never projected to go number 1 on any draft board that you ever look at. Any mock draft you look at, Anthony Bennett was not supposed to go number 1. He paid somebody else to be a number 1 overall pick. You cannot comparison player to player. No, you cannot be considered the biggest bust when you wasn't even supposed to go number 1 overall. Clearly, he went up for some reason. I still want to know the conspiracy theories behind it, and I hope one day a 30 for 30 comes out. But Kwame Brown was actually projected to go number 1, and he was trash his whole career. Bro averaged 5.5 points per game. No, I'm sorry, 6.6 points per game and 5.5 rebounds per game his whole career. Dude got to play with one of y'all greatest players, Michael Jordan. He's got to play with another one of y'all favorite players, Kobe Bryant, and he couldn't do nothing on either team. You know how crazy that sounds, playing with some of the greatest players of all time. You couldn't do anything, and you're supposed to be Kevin Garnett? Come on, man.
Damn, playing with the GOATs and you're a donkey? How do you respond to this, Dion? Who's the bigger bust?
So let's have a moment of silence for the Cavs fans. Now, this one is personal for me, right? Listen, I hate you, Anthony Bennett. I hate you. I hope this message gets back to you, Anthony Bennett. I hate you, right? January 27, 2013 is the worst day in sports history. If I had a time machine, I'll be the first one to go fix it. Anthony Bennett is the reason for COVID. I don't know exactly what happened about it, but he's one of the reasons. But in all reality, he's the biggest bust in NBA history. The thing that's frustrating to me about Anthony Bennett in his first minute 30 is that he was actually a decent college player. What, 6'8", 240, giving you 16 and 8, not bad on defense. You would think this game would translate to the NBA just fine. But honestly, I was wrong. He looked like he never touched a basketball in his life. And me and the entire world quickly realized this is not the same guy that was inside of college. Now, it was like a scene out of Space Jam. They literally took his powers. Listen, he had bad footwork in the NBA, could not dribble, couldn't shoot, and he was terrible on the defensive end. When we talk about a number 1 pick, or we talk about a high school student, Anthony Bennett is by far the worst bust, and I got more information about it for the next couple minutes.
Let's go. Round 2 of topic 2. It's back to you, MTL.
Hey, chat, man. He already told you that he lost this. The only reason he chose Anthony Bennett is because he likes Cleveland. I understand it, but what you got to understand, Anthony Bennett is the reason why LeBron came back. If you really think about it, he was one of the draft picks that was shipped during that time when y'all was getting Kevin Love. So if you don't have him, you don't have Andrew Wiggins, y'all don't never win a championship. How you going to blame him for being the biggest bust when he did help y'all get a championship? LeBron doesn't come back. Y'all don't get that big three if he wasn't on the team. Yes, he was trash, but Kwame Brown was worse. Kwame Brown had terrible hands. Bro couldn't rebound. He couldn't score. He couldn't post up. He couldn't shoot. He couldn't back. I don't know what he could do. Like, how are you a center with bad hands? A center with bad hands, y'all. This dude, okay, y'all can be like, okay, he played a few extra years in the league. Yeah, he played a 10-year career. Long careers do not mean that you're not a bust. You know who other some other names we could bring up? Darko Milicic. We could bring up James Wiseman. We could bring up Markelle. We could bring up Andrew Wiggins. Someone could call a lot of these players bust. These was number 1 overall draft picks. How are we going to just say, well, okay, you play longer careers, so that means that you must not be a bust? No, I understand. It's a personal thing for you. I have some magic names I could pull up too that I still want to fight people to this day for some of these picks that we had. That don't mean that they're the biggest bust of all time. No, the biggest bust is the person that was projected to be Kevin Garnett and came out there and was Kwame Brown.
It's back to you, Dion. Round 2. Let's do it.
Man, it's hilarious because, I'm just sitting here looking at Kwame Brown's, his information. And over the last, his 10-year career, I see him shooting over 50%, like over 5 times. He shot over 48% a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? He averaged, 7 points. He had a season he averaged 11 points. Bro, Anthony Bennett only had 4 years in his season, 4 years in his career, and he averaged 4 points a game. Anthony Bennett, his first 5 games, did not score a bucket. It has nothing to do about it being personal. It has everything to do that he's the worst player to ever exist, right? Anthony Bennett not only did not translate his game to any type of level, these are just a couple names of number 1 picks of all time. Wemby, Anthony Davis, Kyrie, Blake, Dwight, LeBron James, Yao Ming, Duncan, Iverson, Shaq, Hakeem, Magic, and many more, right? When you look at those names, Anthony Bennett was the biggest clown out of all of that. Do you know Anthony Bennett shot 35% for his career from the field? I see one season right here that was called Kwame Brown shot 38% in his career for one season, and that was his last season inside the NBA. So by the numbers, Anthony Bennett was by far worse. He shot 25% from the three-point line. He played 4 years. You got to be at least some type of decent to play 10 years. And I got more.
Back to you, MTL. Round 3.
Okay, so you want to talk about percentages, right? Do you know for centers who tend to stand right by the rim, do you know how bad it is to have season where you shot 30%? I just looked up some of his playoff stats. He had 2 different times in the playoff where he was shooting 34% or less from the field. He only takes layups and dunks. How are you shooting 34% as a center? You're talking about Anthony Bennett. He had to try to create his own shot. We're talking about comparing a 6'8" player to basically a 7-footer. Am I tripping? Basically a 7-footer. We're talking about a 7-footer not being able to put the ball in the net by the rim. Shot 57% from his career from the free throw line. You don't want to talk about 3-point shooting because he shot 11. Yeah, he tried it. Apparently, he tried it a couple of times. Yeah, I'm sorry. I understand Anthony Bennett was bad. Yes, he was. He was not worse than Kwame Brown. It's so bad that Stephen A. Smith literally had all these amazing moments of Kwame Brown. But you know the clips I'm talking about. He crashed out so many times about Kwame Brown to the point where Kwame Brown had to come back out like, hey, man, y'all gonna stop playing with my name because I was trash, but like, y'all ain't gonna talk about me like I was crazy. But what he did, he just came out here, was making his own podcast, getting on streams, crashing out because he knew he was bad. You know, a hit dog always hollers. You ain't never seen Anthony Bennett come out and say, hey, man, I'm sorry that I gave the Cavs the championship.
Okay.
Okay.
How you feel about that?
This is the last time you're going to mention a championship. Okay, you mentioned that he was part of the trade deal, but you don't mention the number 1 piece that was actually important, that was part of the trade deal, and that was Andrew Wiggins, right? And if you realize, we're like the only franchise to have 2 number 1 picks back to back. Anthony Bennett was so bad that we got another number 1 pick. How many times do inside the draft that the number 1 draft pick goes into the league and is not impactful at all to the point that the team gets a number 1 draft pick the next season. So that's the reason why he was part of that trade deal. So if anybody, I'm thinking Andrew Wiggins. I'm not thinking Anthony Bennett. And then why don't you mention that literally when he went to the Timberwolves, he got released. They released him. So nobody inside the league wanted him. He could last 4 years. And okay, the last part, this last 45 seconds, I want to talk about the 2013 actual NBA draft, right? There was players at the bottom of this draft that I would have rather had. You mentioned earlier, Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert was inside this draft. The Cavaliers could have got Rudy Gobert. We didn't get Rudy Gobert. They had CJ McCollum, Ben McLemore, Oladipo. It's just so many players in this draft that I would have rather had over Anthony Bennett, right? And the thing about it is, bro, the only thing about Anthony Bennett that he was good for was sitting the bench, right? Right? He wasn't good at nothing else. Anthony Bennett, bro, literally almost ruined the Cleveland Cavaliers franchise. And it's just that simple. He's the biggest bust, the number 1 biggest bust of all time. I hope you hear this, Anthony Bennett.
Damn. Bennett almost single-handedly ruining LeBron's legacy and Kyrie. Damn.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and run the polls. Let's get you guys over there to vote. And let's figure out, based on these two arguments, Dion and MTEL, who really was the biggest bust ever. Anthony Bennett versus Kwame Brown. Fellas, it's been a good 2 topics. We will be getting on to the 3rd topic here in a second. But before we do that, I need the judges to send their votes. I need all of you guys in the chat to not be biased or not vote on personal preference, but to vote based on who is more logical and who provided facts and context. Also, what I need you guys to do after you go hit that vote button is hit that like button. And then I need you to subscribe to Players Choice channel on YouTube. In the meantime, hey, it's been a good card so far. In case you're just now getting here, there will be no Elder Rufus versus John D. Elder Rufus is not able to make it due to personal challenges, but John D will be advancing, and we will move on to Big Ox Bob versus Gifted next. So you guys stay tuned for that. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We got about 15 seconds left. Go ahead and vote, and then hit that like button too. Do both at the same time. See what the judges is talking about. Let me see what the judges is talking about. All right, still waiting for one judge to tap in. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me see what the crowd got. All right, we're going to move on to round 3, or to topic 3 of this heated debate. This is what we got for the 3rd topic, ladies and gentlemen. We got who is the better player today? Nikola Jokic or Giannis Antetokounmpo? Dion, it is back on you, and your time will start whenever you decide.
All right. So when it comes to Jokic and Giannis, Jokic has been better than Giannis since 2022. Jokic averaged an insane 26, 12, and 9 on 65% true shooting, and he also led the league in PER at 31. There's only been 7 players in NBA history that have such PER. Now, with Giannis, being one of those 7, Jokic this season still has a better PR than Giannis. Jokic 1,000% deserved the MVP this season, and it was well-deserved. I really can't think of another player that deserves it more. His impact and winning really shows on the stat sheet and the scoreboard. Nuggets finished the season 57-25, second in the West, and Jokic played 79 out of the 82 games. Giannis played 73, but battled injuries in the playoffs. Listen, the Nuggets' offensive rating drops from 120 to 115 when Jokic doesn't.
Oh,
Yo, Dion. Dion.
that was crazy.
Brother. Dion. Dion. Damn. Well, hey, MTEL, if you can't win this round, I don't know what to tell you. You asked for a bye. You asked for a bye, and Santa Claus came early.
I'm dead.
All right.
Dang, he just had a power outage. That's crazy.
All right. Well, while we wait for Dion to tap back in, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna let you go ahead and get your round off,
Okay.
and then we will see if Dion can make it back in a timely manner. All right. You know the topic. Who's the best player today in the NBA? Jokic versus Giannis. Let us know who you believe it is and why.
All right, so I have Giannis as the best player in the league. Listen, you want to talk about history? Let's go history for history. They both won one championship. You know, Giannis has a DPOY, something Jokic ain't never going to see. Jokic ain't never going to finish at top 5. He ain't never going to finish top 10, probably 15, 20, 35. He's never going to finish that high defense. So defensively, Giannis clears him. Let's go and get that out the way. Giannis has showed you in the biggest moments of his career, he steps up. Granted, he's had some times with injuries, but when you take Giannis healthy for healthy, when you take player A, player B healthy for healthy, we got to go with Giannis. Giannis showed you in a playoff series, in a finals of all times to show it, that y'all told him he couldn't shoot free throws. What did he do? He proceeded to just free throw after free throw. He had one free throw miss. One. 15 made free throws, one free throw miss in the finals to beat the Suns. Dude dropped a 50 piece for his final game. Jokic, yes, he has had great moments. Jokic always goes as far as his ability to be able to have Jamal Murray on his side. Jamal Murray has had to put up historical, crazy playoff series. He's had to win almost every single one of their closeout games. Every time that you remember them beating the Lakers, you know who hit that game-winning shot? It was Jamal Murray. You know how many times Giannis had Damian Lillard or Chris Middleton or Bobby Portis, any of them hit his game-winning shots from all time? Not that often.
All right, Dion. Whew. I thought we lost you, brother.
You're so lucky, bro. You're so lucky that happened right there. You know what I'm saying? The website right now, is all for you, buddy. You're lucky I lagged out. But let's get to it, man. You know what I'm saying? I was cooking up and then I had a lag out right there. I'm back now. Let's go.
Let's run the time. It's on you.
Let's run it. So I didn't hear what nonsense you were saying about Giannis being better than Jokic, but there's nothing you can say to me. And I'm happy I didn't hear it because it would have bled my ears. I'm very happy that I didn't hear that. But listen, the separator between the two is Jokic's playmaking is the ultimate separator between the two. Jokic's playmaking is more important than Giannis' two-way ability. Yes, I'm taking Jokic's passing over Giannis' defense. Jokic is a top 5 passer of all time. And listen, and he's also the best big man passer of all time. Listen, where does Giannis' defense rank among the all-time defensive list? It's not even top 20. Jokic averaged 9 assists with only 3 turnovers. Only 3 turnovers is insane. Listen, he's doing all that on a 31 usage rate. So not only is he passing, he's doing it insanely efficient. 9 assists a game for a center is the second most in NBA history, only trailing himself from the year before. So if Jokic touches the ball, it's 9 out of 10 times something great is going to happen. This dude knows every coverage and will pick you apart the entire game. Do you know how hard it is to guard a center that spreads the court out like Jokic? His ability to pass and knock down a 3 open. You know what I'm saying? His ability to get inside the post and still work inside the post. This creates the many things that you was talking about. This creates those abilities for Jamal Murray to get open, for the pick and roll to actually work. It's Jamal Murray that's doing that, right? This helps Aaron Gordon be inside the dunk and roll. It all starts with Jokic and ends with Jokic. Listen, Jokic is the ultimate offensive player in the league today.
MTEL, do you agree with that?
Listen, so since we go on the personal route, since you went the personal route with Cleveland, I'm going to do the same thing. The Nuggets have only won a championship because they took my boy Aaron Gordon from my team. Everybody knows I like the Magic. The reason why y'all became the team that y'all became, well, they became the team that they became is because they did the trade to get Aaron Gordon. I knew Aaron Gordon was worth first-round picks. That was a great selection for them. That gave them one of the best picking, just lob threats to just have on the team. I was about to say he fits perfectly with their team. Jokic has always had just these teams that, in my opinion, just have been better than Giannis's teams. Giannis has had to just get it out the mud. Man had to play with Eric Bledsoe. Man had to play with all these different sets of lineups where it's like, yes, he's playing. He had a coach that really was hurting him more than helping him, and he won a championship with him. Giannis's impact as a player is just clearly better than Jokic. I feel like he gets thrown to the wayside just because of the MVP race between Jokic and Embiid. For whatever reason, people wanted to keep acting like it's 1 and 2, but y'all keep acting like Giannis ain't been consistent. Y'all keep acting like Giannis ain't been great over and over and over again. You talk about passing. Giannis is a great passer too when you need him to be. We watch Giannis transition from being a small forward to a point guard to a power forward to a center. Man can literally play all over the court. He's played multiple roles on the court, and you talking about unstoppable. He's more unstoppable than Jokic. They both have a lot of deficiencies that you could talk about. Jokic shot. I'm gonna get into that next time.
Round 3, Dion.
So none of the stats point to Giannis being a more impactful player than Jokic. Jokic leads in VRP, VORP. He leads in VORP. He leads in also defensive blocks plus minus. This dude's top 3 in defensive rating. This last topic I wanted to get into is the biggest myth in NBA history right now is Jokic doesn't play defense. I hate it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. The conversation has been going around that, rebounding, is it part of defense or is it not part of defense? Let me tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you it's part of defense, right? Jokic being a great rebounder, averages 12 rebounds a game. Rebounding ends the play. If a team can't rebound, what's the point of playing defense? But listen, rebounding isn't the only thing that makes Jokic a good defender. It's his defensive IQ. We all know how smart he is on the offensive end, but it might be time to look at the defensive end too. Jokic being able to pick his spots on defense, knowing what the offense wants to do better before they do it. Listen, Jokic, bro, is one of the highest IQ players inside of the league today, and it definitely has translated on the defensive end. Jokic's defense is actually one of the best in pick and roll. The Denver Nuggets is the best defense in pick and roll this season, one of the best teams, and that all starts with Jokic, right? So the myth that he can't play defense, on top of him being the best offensive player, there's no way in hell that Giannis can be better than Jokic going to this season. Every single advanced stat points to Jokic over Giannis. In the playoffs, I'm picking Jokic over Giannis.
Okay.
There you have it, MTL, round 3.
Okay, so what I'm not going to let you do is get off what you got in that last round, try to sway them at the last second, try to bring up the draft picks like how you did with Anthony Bennett at the last second. Like, we can't do that with Kwame Brown. So, I'm not going to do this round. Listen, you want to go that route, that's fine. I never was going to say Jokic doesn't play defense. I do agree that he plays defense. He definitely tries. He gets cooked a lot, but he definitely tries a lot. I'm about to say he has very good moments of being able to be a good defender. I will never take that away from him. But what we're not going to do is act like Giannis isn't a good passer. We're not going to act like Giannis isn't a good driver. We're not going to act like Giannis isn't a great rebounder. We're not going to act like Giannis isn't a great scorer. We're not going to act like Jokic hasn't been on better teams than Giannis consistently year after year after year. Dude's teams that he had for the last 3 years, the fact that Jokic only got 1 championship out of that team and he's had a better team than Giannis for 3 years straight. Come on, man. We can start there. You want to talk about all the advanced analytics? I don't really be caring about those because when you actually watch the games, what actually be happening? Dude, you said that you would take him. Why you didn't take him when they played the Timberwolves? What happened there? You brought him up earlier. You said that they beat Jokic's team. Yes, they did. Jokic has blown 15 to 20 point leads in the Olympics and in the playoffs when you needed him the most. He's been blowing leads. His shooting has fallen off. It just went out the window. Giannis has showed you many more stamps of being a greater player, and I think that even this year, you're going to see it again.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the time is going up right now. The polls are going up right now. You guys go vote right now. Go like the video right now. And subscribe and become a member while you at it too. Salute to Dion from Ohio. Salute to MTL. You guys both came into PCL and did what y'all do best, or show people what you guys do best. And that's debate and talk hoops. Appreciate both of you guys for joining up. Appreciate both of you guys for coming and cooking. But at this moment in time, in the round of 16, only one of you can advance to the Elite Eight. We are running the polls right now. The judges are sending through their votes. Chat, I need you guys to be unbiased. Judges, I need you guys to be unbiased. And I need you guys to vote on who made the best arguments. In the meantime, in between time, in this last 30 seconds, you guys go to playerschoicemerch.com and grab you some of the good old stuff that we got. Why? Because only winning matters. And you should take it light. But take it. All right. let's get into it. We got about 20 seconds left. Get over there and vote in case you haven't. And also, just a quick update. There will be no next battle because Elder Rufus has dropped out. But John D will be advancing along with the winner of this battle and along with the winner of Swiper. Or along with Swiper, who won. But you guys are probably wondering, what are we going to do next? Because Elder Rufus and John D is next. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to end this stream and we're going to start another stream for our last and final battle of the day, Big Ox versus Gifted. That will obviously start at 8:15 Eastern time. So you guys be ready for that. It's going to be in about 45 minutes. So stick around, turn your notification bells on, subscribe so you will get that notification, and just stay on your toes because it's coming soon. But obviously, we have a battle right now that we must talk about. The votes are in. So let me see. Still waiting on some of the judges. Be patient, y'all. Be patient. All right. Okay. That's what we got. Interesting. Got a couple 3-0 rounds, y'all. Okay. All right. Didn't see this coming. But here's what we got right now, y'all. All right. Round 1. With a 3-0 sweep. Well, topic 1. Dion from Ohio. Topic 2. With a win of 2-1, we have Dion from Ohio. Topic 3. With yet another sweep and a sweep for the whole day, we got the kid from Ohio.
Let's go.
Hey, man. So, salute to the kid from Ohio, man. Salute to him. Round of applause.
Let's get it. I'm ready for the next round. You know what I'm saying? We had some technical difficulties this time. But, you know what I'm saying? Whoever out there, whoever next, say your prayers.
All right, you going to do him like Kwame?
Man, I'm going to do him like Debo, man. I'm Debo around here.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yo, MTEL.
Mm-hmm.
Much love to you. Appreciate you for joining. Appreciate you for being a wild card. Appreciate you for stepping in here and holding your own. Look forward to getting you back on, maybe another time soon, maybe on the panel, maybe open gym, maybe from the logo. Who knows? We will be seeing you soon, but nonetheless, appreciate you for stepping in this ring and having the nuts to do what some of these other guys can do.
Appreciate you, MTEL. Hey, MTEL, bro, you did an amazing job.
Yeah,
for real.
Good match, bro.
Appreciate it. Yeah. This is our first time talking. I don't know if we talked before, but I appreciate it, man. Yeah, for sure. You got some great points.
Thank you.
Sir. Yep.
All right, Dion, we'll catch you next week. You'll be knowing who you'll be debating here very soon.
Yes, sir.
MTEL, I'll tap in with you soon, and salute to you.
Yes, sir.
Peace, y'all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you guys here soon in about 45 minutes. It will be number 3, Big Ox versus number 14, Gifted. This should be interesting, and this will dictate ultimately what we're going to see in the Elite 8 and what the matchups will look like. So you guys make sure to come back for this next stream. Like this video on the way out. Like the next video on the way in. Big Ox in the comments talking big stuff. In the meantime, we'll catch you guys soon.